My inventory has doubled since the last time that I published my simple inventory system video here on YouTube. And that is the plan to continue to grow my inventory on Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari. But in order for that to work out efficiently, I needed to create an inventory system that was a little bit more complex. So that is the purpose of this video, to share with you my new way of storing all of the clothes and shoes in my home. But we'll also be talking about all the spreadsheets that I use to keep track of inventory, to record sales data, and to record my expenses as well. The best way I could think of to present this information in a thorough manner was to explain the process each piece of clothing goes through as soon as it enters my home. So let's start from the very beginning, and that is when I come home from the thrift store with freshly sourced inventory. The very first thing I like to do is organize everything into different categories. So I will put all the shoes together, all the jeans, dresses, and on and on. I do this because I like to prep, photograph, list, and do all the other reselling steps working with similar items in bulk at the same time. I just find it easier that way. From this point, what I used to do is document all of this inventory. Nowadays, I skip this step, but I still want to share it with you just in case you want to add it to your process. By document, I mean to record each piece of clothing into a spreadsheet, a Google Doc, or maybe a notes app. I would add a title that would include the brand name, the size of the clothes, and then next to that, I would add the cost of goods. I skip this step because I don't see it as absolutely necessary. And I document my inventory later on in the process, as we'll talk about. What I do instead at this point is choose 20 to 25 items that I'd like to list first. And most of the time I try to focus on items that are in season. So right now I want to get my thicker pants, jackets, and sweaters listed first. As for the rest of the items, I store them in these large brown boxes that I got from my Jamar orders. I'll just neatly put them in here. Then I will add a sheet to the top just to keep them extra protected. And this box will go in my garage, and I will go there to get more items as needed when I need to take more pictures. The next part of the process for me is to photograph and add SKU numbers to each of these pieces of clothing. I do have a video where I talk in depth about how to take good pictures for your reselling business. I will link it in the card up above and in the description down below if you want to watch it. But for now, we'll just gloss over that part. The part I do want to show you is this right here. After the photos are taken and the measurements as well, I will fold the item neatly. Then it will go into a poly bag. Next, the item gets a SKU number, a thank you sticker, and lastly, I take a picture of this, making sure that the weight of the item and the SKU number is showing. So that's one item done, many more to go, but that's the process that I take each of these items through. And then once I'm done taking all of the pictures, I will put them off to the side somewhere until I am ready to list them. Most of the time, here's where I put them, under my desk. As you see here, I have 2 left over from the previous batch of pictures that I took. But once I'm done with all of these here, it's going to be pretty full under my desk. 2 things I want to clarify before moving on to the next part of the process, and that is poly bags and SKU numbers. I store all of my items inside poly bags just because I feel like they stay safer that way. They stay clean, organized, well folded. So I use small, medium, and large poly bags. These small ones here, I'll use them for lightweight items, little shirts, bras, and anything that does not take up much space. This next poly bag is what I call a medium poly bag, and this one is the one that I use the most, and I use it for larger shirts. Sweaters will fit in here as well, jeans fit in here really well, and even some ankle boots and most shoes. Then I have this massive one. This large poly bag is what I use for heavy items like the purses, backpacks, plus size clothing, and thick jackets. The only thing that I do not store in poly bags is tall boots. For those, I use these brown boxes. Off to the side, I put the label, the SKU number, so that it's easy to find when it sells. But even then, I only put a little bit of tape on top just so that it's easy to open, because I do like to double make sure that I'm sending off the right item. Inside, I just lightly wrap them with this brown packing paper. I got these boxes on Amazon and the poly bags as well. That and everything else I talk about in this video will be linked down in the description. Now let's talk SKU numbers. I use a categorizing system, and that is where I assign a letter to each category that I sell. Here's the cheat sheet that I created when I started using the system. I have A for boots, B for ankle boots, then we have all the rest of the shoes here. Towards the bottom we get to H for jeans, I for leggings, and in the back I have the rest of the letters with the rest of its corresponding categories. Using that system, I will take these blank labels that I bought from Amazon and start creating SKU numbers. Here I have a sheet that I have started to use. It's the letter M, and that stands for shorts. In the beginning, I did have to keep referencing this cheat sheet, but now that I've used it so much, I have all these letters memorized. I know what they belong to. These sheets are 30 labels, so this one started at M001 and it ends at M030. And I already have another one started here, which starts off where this one left off, M031, and it ends at M060, which is the next set of 30. And then once I get low on this one, I will create the next one that will end in M090. Now I have to be frank here, this system is not perfect and it is not fully developed. I'm still working out some things. For one, I have to figure out how I can use a printer to create my labels so that I'm not writing out one by one. So if you have any suggestions for that, let me know down in the comments below. But the reason why I chose this system is because it was a gradual step up from the previous system I was using. That's one, but also I just like keeping things organized and grouping similar items together. I feel that works best with the small space that I have. And I can always see when I'm running low on a particular item since I have them grouped together. The next part of the process for me is to actually list all of the items that I photographed. I normally list anywhere from 5 to 10 items at a time, but right now we're just going to be focusing on that one pair of green pants that we took pictures of. The software that I use to list is called List Perfectly. I'm going to be skimming through most of the listing process just so that we can get to the part where I add SKU numbers to all the different platforms that I sell on. But if you want an in-depth tutorial on List Perfectly, I will link it in the card up above somewhere and also in the description down below. And if you don't already have List Perfectly and you would like to try it, you can always use my code TheMomBoss for 30% off your first month. Alrighty, so here we are on the main page of List Perfectly. I'm going to click on Add Listing to start listing my first item. First thing I will do is add pictures by clicking this plus button. And here are the pictures that I took today of these green pants. I'll just select all of these and click open at the bottom right. Next, I will select my template. I'm going to go with this jeans classic. Although these aren't jeans, it's the closest to it, so that's the one I will use. I'll create a title. Then I will fill out this description. In this next section is where I will input some keywords. We'll put the price, and here's where we will put the SKU number. So I can scroll back up, look at this picture I took, and copy this SKU number down there. But most of the time I have my phone next to me that also has all the pictures that I took. So I'll just look at that for the SKU number because it's easier than scrolling back up every time. And the last thing would be to add the weight and click save and exit to catalog. And here are all the items I have listed on List Perfectly. Under platforms here, you can see all the platforms that I have cross-posted each of these items to. This first one is blank because I have yet to cross-post it. But the neat thing is that when I do, along with the pictures and the description, the price and everything else, this SKU number will also be recorded to all the platforms that I cross-post to using List Perfectly. Let me show you how that works. We're going to click on this green arrow here and select the platforms that I wish to post to and click copy. 3 different tabs have been opened, one for eBay, one for Poshmark, and one for Mercari. On eBay, it adds the SKU number here under custom label SKU. On Poshmark, it adds it way at the bottom. Right here under additional details, you can see the SKU number has been added. On Mercari, unfortunately, they don't have a SKU number system yet. So what I do is just reference this picture that I added here to know what SKU I should look for when the item sells. Another option you have is that you can add it here to your description so that it's available for you once the item sells. Once you have all of your items listed and the SKU numbers attached to all of the platforms, you need somewhere where you can consolidate all of this inventory where it's easy to track and manage. List Perfectly can definitely do that for you. It has so much useful information. It has all your pictures stored there, your title, description, price, where you have published your items on, what date you created the item, and so many other useful information. And they have an elaborate search system as well. You can search by keyword, by SKU number, by platform. Another neat thing they have is this sales analytics dashboard. Here they keep track of all your sales, where it's sold, cost of goods, and many other things. Mine is blank because I don't use List Perfectly to keep track of all my inventory. Right now, I just use it to list my items, to cross-post to all of the platforms that I sell on, and to delist items once they sell. Maybe at some point in the future, I will gain the courage to give List Perfectly a try to keep track of my inventory, but as of right now, I am too comfortable with the system that I already use, and I really don't want to make that major change at the moment. If you do have List Perfectly, maybe you can go ahead and give that system a try, but if you don't, or if you want to try something else to keep track of inventory, maybe you can try what I use, which is Google Sheets. I was about to start talking all about the spreadsheet, but actually before I get into that, let me just tell you what Google Sheets is and give you a quick disclaimer about the spreadsheet I am about to show you. Google Sheets is a place where you can create spreadsheets that will help you track data. It's used online on computers, but you can also use it on your phone. So anything I add to my spreadsheet on my computer, I can pull it up on my phone at any time. So that's what I like about it. The spreadsheet I am about to show you is unfortunately no longer available. I bought it from a YouTuber reseller named Mogi Beth, but after I realized that the link I was sharing with other people who asked about it didn't work, I reached out to her and she told me that they have discontinued selling the spreadsheet, but there are many places where you can get a spreadsheet of your own. You can buy it from other resellers here on YouTube, so just check out other channels and see if they have a spreadsheet for sale. You can also search on Google. Just go there and put reseller spreadsheet and a lot will pop up, some that are for sale and some that are even free. Another place where you can search for these spreadsheets is on Etsy. Just go there and again type in reseller spreadsheet and there you'll have many options to choose from. I still want to show you the spreadsheet that I use though and give you a walkthrough of everything that it has, just so you can get a better idea of what you may want in the spreadsheet that you end up buying for yourself. So this is the spreadsheet that I use. If you've never seen a spreadsheet before, I know this looks very complicated, but I'm going to break it all down to you and it's going to all make sense. So this as a whole is a spreadsheet, but at the bottom we have different pages. We have one for stats, one for inventory, and then one for each month of the year. Let's start here on stats. Stats is where I track all the statistics for each month. Right now we're in mid-January, hence why January is the only month that has data filled out and all of the other months are blank as of now. The first 3 statistics right here are just general statistics, the sales, the earnings, and the actual profit after shipping and cost of goods. The next set of statistics are all about inventory. How much inventory did I begin with at the beginning of the month? How much did I end with? And on average, how much did I have on hand? The next set of statistics are all about listings. So how many items I listed total, how many sold, And then the next two are, out of those that sold, how many were from the inventory that I started with and how many were from newly listed items. Next is all about averages. So my average profit margin, average sales price, average earnings, average cost of goods, and the average profit that I've made so far this month is right here. Then we have statistics about sell-through rate, meaning how fast are my items selling. Then we have the total sales numbers broken down by platform, then profit margins by platform. And the last section here is just so that you can set a goal, and the spreadsheet will keep track on how close you are to that goal throughout the month. So this is why I rather use this system as opposed to List Perfectly. I just like how the data is laid out as months go on and all of this is filled out. It's cool to see the progress, and it's so easy to compare data between months. Let's move on to the next sheet, which is inventory. This right here is everything that I have listed on Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari. The ones that are highlighted blue are that way because these are consignment items, meaning someone gave me these items to resell for them, and when they sell, I keep part of the earnings and then they keep the other part. Items end up here after I have listed them on List Perfectly and cross-posted them to all platforms. In a perfect world, I would update this sheet every time I listed items, but the reality is that most of the time I'm behind a couple of days, 4 days, sometimes even up to a week. But when I do add items here, this is my process. I will open up List Perfectly in a new tab, minimize this window, click and hold the List Perfectly tab and move it over to the side. Then I will go to my listings. Under this created column, I will make sure that they are ordered from most recent to oldest, and you do that by clicking this arrow off to the side. From my spreadsheet, I can see that the last time I updated it was January 10th, so I'm going to scroll down till we get to that point. So here is January 10th. It was a Patagonia button-up shirt, and I can confirm here that that is the case. So that means that I need to start from here and work my way up to add all these items to my spreadsheet. To add it, I will click and hold right here from the SKU number and then scroll over until I highlight the entire title. Then I will click Ctrl+C on my keyboard to copy this. Then I will come over to the spreadsheet, and under the item column, I will double click on the next blank row and click Ctrl+V on my keyboard to paste it. And then I can just click Tab on my keyboard to input the next piece of information, which is how much this item cost. And I input when I listed this. And lastly, I'll input the price. And that's the process I use to input all of these items into the inventory section of my spreadsheet. I'm going to go ahead and cut this video right here. There's going to be a part 2 because I know that this video is already pretty long and there are many other things that I want to discuss when it comes to tracking and managing inventory. I want to talk about recording your sales in bulk, where I actually store all of these items in my house, how to keep track of expenses, and I also want to do a Q&A session where I answer the most common questions that I get when it comes to this whole keeping track of inventory thing. So if you want to watch part 2 of this video, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you're notified when it goes live. If you found this video helpful, support my channel by hitting the thumbs up down below and share it with someone who you think may find it useful. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I'll see you in the next one.